Hi there. Sorry about that. Recording stopped, so just picking up from there. I'm gonna read a quote really quick from Orwell, from Shooting an Elephant. It's actually really gets at this idea extremely well. So if you've ever read Shooting an Elephant, it's about this English policeman in Burma under English colonial rule, and the beginning he thinks he's kind of hot shit. I mean, he understands that the Burmese are extremely oppressed and exploited by the English, and he's totally on their side. And he's like a working class, Englishman who wants to get out of there as soon as possible. But he's still going along with this, essentially. And at the end, by the end, he realizes what he really is. And so essentially, there's an elephant that's run out of the jungle into the village, and it's trampled one of the Burmese, and then it's run away again, and now it's fine and calmed down, and now it's been surrounded by a crowd that are calling for its death, even though it's now calmed down, and could be safely led away. So this is the point that this policeman is summoned to bring a rifle, and he doesn't want to shoot the elephant. He realizes that the elephant is calm now, and that it's wrong to kill this animal, that it didn't understand what it was doing, that it was spooked or startled, and that it's wrong, and he doesn't want to do it. And so he says, at that distance, peacefully eating, the elephant looked no more dangerous than the cow. I thought then, and I think now, that his attack of must was already passing off, in which case he would merely wander harmlessly about until the mahout came back and caught him. Moreover, I did not... Oh, yes, he was an elephant that they were... I guess it wasn't a wild elephant. It was an elephant that had just gotten startled and run away from its keeper and had trampled someone. Moreover, I did not in the least want to shoot him. I decided that I would watch him for a little while to make sure that he did not turn savage again, and then go home. But at that moment I glanced round at the crowd that had followed me. It was an immense crowd, 2,000 at the least, and growing every minute. It blocked the road for a long distance on either side. I looked at the sea of yellow faces above the garish clothes, faces all happy and excited over this bit of fun, all certain that the elephant was going to be shot. They were watching me as they would watch a conjurer about to perform a trick. They did not like me, but with the magical rifle in my hands, I was momentarily worth watching. And suddenly I realized that I should have to shoot the elephant after all. The people expected it of me, and I had got to do it. I could feel their 2,000 wills pressing me forward irresistibly. And it was at this moment, as I stood there with the rifle in my hands, that I first grasped the hollowness, the futility of the white man's dominion in the East. Here was I, the white man with his gun, standing in front of the unarmed native crowd, seemingly the lead actor of the piece, but in reality I was only an absurd puppet pushed to and fro by the will of those yellow faces behind. I perceived in this moment that when the white man turns tyrant, it is his own freedom that he destroys. He becomes a sort of hollow, posing dummy, the conventionalized figure of a sahib. For it is the condition of his rule that he shall spend his life in trying to impress the natives, and so in every crisis he has got to do what the natives expect of him. He wears a mask, and his face grows to fit it. I had got to shoot the elephant. I had committed myself to doing it when I sent for the rifle. A sahib has got to act like a sahib. He has got to appear resolute, to know his own mind, and to do definite things. To come all that way, rifle in hand, with 2,000 people marching at my heels, and then to trail feebly away, having done nothing. No, that was impossible. The crowd would laugh at me. And my whole life, every white man's life in the East, was one long struggle not to be laughed at. I think this is extremely relevant to it's not just the white man's dominion in the East. It's not, just racial or just political, colonial. This is about any hierarchy. And essentially it's the idea that the oppressor in a hierarchy cannot exist without the oppositional category that they've created, right? They've made these categories and put themselves in opposition to the other one. They made the oppositional category. And so they are constantly self-policing because they cannot exist without the oppositional category. They rely, therefore, their power, therefore, is not real. It's fake. It's hollow. They rely upon the other, the oppressed, for their power. Without the oppressed, they as the powerful would cease to exist. This is true of all hierarchies, and so there's a resentment, a deep resentment in the knowledge of that. So of course there's a resentment toward women, and it's interesting. Is one long struggle not to be laughed at, and what is it that men hate, and when women laugh at them, and so women saying no is also women laughing at the absurdity of this, as it causes the worst narcissistic injury, really, and everybody thinks that this is so. First of all, women are not supposed to say no, and that's why they're stepping out of their... And again, it's the women who are saying no who are being gender nonconforming, not these men who are trying to impose themselves on women. The women saying no are the ones that are stepping out. I mean, in gender nonconforming in the true sense of femininity is ritualized submission, and masculinity is ritualized dominance. And so women who are saying no are not being feminine. They are stepping out of their role, and that must be punished. So that's part of it that's going on right now. And then the other part, I think, is the whole stalking for love thing. These men who look so ridiculous. People think, and they seem so earnest, and people think, they must really, 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 really want to be women. They must really, 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 really desire this. I think there's a lack of understanding that it's just... the delusions of the patriarchy as well. And whenever we've tried to push back against these delusions, men feel oppressed because they don't recognize that all what they've taken for granted is none of it is real. And when there's a more fair playing field, they feel oppressed. But they think that they must really, 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 really want to be women, and they think that that's love. And I think a lot of women that are supporting this, they think it's love too, and they think that these men are being like so brave and so stunning. Why? Because they really love women, or they wouldn't be doing this, right? They must really love us. And then there's a lot of attention given to them, which is, oh my gosh, I mean, that's why these men are doing it. Are you kidding? All incels should become trans women. And all men who just want more attention from women. I mean, they get so much attention. My trans roommate would get, hundreds of likes and comments on every single picture of himself and smeared lipstick or whatever. I'm sure he got good at makeup. But the love bombing that comes from women. And why? I mean, when women tear each other down, it's not just because we're taught to always baby and coddle and give rewards, have a really low bar for men and give them rewards for things that would just be standard for women. It's not, or even substandard for women. It's not just because of that. It's also because I think that women might find it flattering or genuinely think it's some love because of the whole stalking for love trope. And they don't realize that this deep, all-consuming desire to own the body of a woman, this intense, it's that, it could be coming from a place of dysphoria, or it could be coming from a person who maybe has AGP but doesn't have any other mental illness. But oftentimes, it's coming from a pathological place, similar to that of a stalker. The stalking has idealized victim. They've idealized themselves in the form of a woman, and it's a similar kind of pathology, and because male attention Obsessive male attention is love. Obsessive male attention is love, especially since the flip side of the narcissism is discard, and we see this in men all the time. Pump and dump, right? Just pretend to like someone or idealize someone, and then devalue, discard. That's the NPD cycle. Although that's but there's plenty of men who don't. It's all a sham. Oh, I kind of pretend to like you. Discard, right? That's pretty common. And so if a man is obsessed with a woman, like, that's love. It's just the flip side of seeing the woman as an object, but desiring to fully possess her rather than throw her away like a single-use, like a single-use cup or a single-use plastic container, which is how the men who discard women see women. But the men who are obsessive desire to completely own women in that sense. And, that's a desire behind even people that go to extremes like serial killing. And that's not to say that, again, that's not to, but that is like a logical endpoint of the extreme infatuation, which we're willing to say that about stalkers, and to understand that. When we, the show You, there's been more attention to understanding that recently, that we should not be, painting stalking as love, because we're also then painting boundary breaking, repeated boundary breaking and coercion as love. But because of the tendency to use and discard, I think that a lot of women think, wow, like, this person would have went to these lengths for me, And so I think that there's some of that going on here. And then, of course, the men are just absolutely showered in attention. So a lot of these, BPD and MPD men are going to absolutely love that, right? But I think that's where some of these women are coming from with that. That's their own pathology, the way that they have been groomed into reacting to these men's pathology. So I wanted to just talk about that, talk about obsession. And that's the end of my podcast. And I'll see you next time.